So you finished your model, but now you have to texture it. Somebody told you that you need to UV unwrap first. You Googled it and couldn't understand anything. What about texture painting? You even went into the texture paint workspace and tried it, but nothing happened. But the solution is simpler than you think. It has nothing to do with your modeling skills. It is all about shading. Before we can shade or paint, we have to prepare the model. Think of it like a sewing pattern. We need to tell Blender how to take our 3D object and lay its surface out flat in 2D. This is called UV unwrapping. Let's switch to UV editing workspace. To unwrap the lampshade, we'll select an edge loop running up the side and mark it as a seam. For the base, we can mark the seam on the bottom. Now with everything selected, press U and choose unwrap. Blender instantly flattens the model's faces into a UV map. This map is our canvas and it guarantees our textures will wrap around the model correctly. With our UVs ready, let's jump into shading workspace. Here everything revolves around one powerful node, the principled BSDF. It's designed to create almost any material you can imagine. For the lampshade, let's create a new material. We only need to focus on 3 sliders. First, the base color. Let's go with a dark gray. Next, the metallic slider, crank it all the way to 1. You can see how the light immediately responds differently. And most importantly, roughness. Nothing in reality is a perfect mirror, so you should almost never set this to 0. Let's use the value of 0.3 for a subtly brushed metal look. For the lampshade, we'll make another new material. Leave metallic at 0, pick a nice beige color and set the roughness high to about 0.8 to simulate a fabric surface. These are our base coats and already things are looking better. Now it's time to paint. Let's head over to the texture paint workspace. Select the lampshade. In its material, click the yellow dot next to the base color and add an image texture node. Click new, give it a name and set the resolution to 2K, which is 2048 by 2048 pixels. This is our digital canvas. The workflow is simple. Grab the fill tool, pick an off-white and click on the lampshade to fill it with our new base color. Then grab a brush, pick a slightly darker color, start painting directly on the model. You can see the results in real time. This is the core process, creating an image, link it to your material and start painting. Realism comes from imperfections and we build those up in layers. First up, ambient occlusion. This will add subtle contact shadows where objects meet. In the shading workspace, add an image texture. Don't link it to anything. Just select the object and go to render settings. Find the bake menu, set the bake type to ambient occlusion and hit bake. Blender will automatically calculate all the contact shadows for you. Now combine both your albedo texture and ambient occlusion texture to a mix RGB node and set the blend mode to multiply. The ambient occlusion can be controlled using the factor slider. It's an instant boost in depth and realism. So far we have only painted color and given ambient occlusion shadows. But we can use images to control any input. Back in the shading workspace, let's control the roughness. Just remember, for a roughness map, black is shiny and white is rough. We can feed our color texture into a color ramp node, then plug that into the roughness input of our principled BSDF. Now you can adjust the ramp to make it rougher and shinier. Suddenly the surface is no longer uniform, which is a huge step for realism. We can go even further. Add a noise texture node, run it through a bump node and plug that into a normal input on your shader. Increase the scale of the noise and turn the bump strength way down. Look at that, the surface now has a fine bumpy texture like fabric, faked entirely with a map. That's the trifecta of shading, color, roughness, and normal maps, all working together to create a believable surface. So that's the entire process. We took a blank slate and gave it history and believability, just by layering details and using maps to control more than just color. You can apply this effect workflow to any model you make. This is the fundamental skill that will take your work to the next level. If you found this tutorial helpful, please give it a like and consider subscribing for more tips. Viewers felt the episodes were too long, so I decided to make these videos 5 to 10 minutes long and not call it episodes, but just tips and tricks. Thank you for watching.